My mother and father were in love, but that love was fleeting, to be quite honest. And my father had unfinished business. My father had some soul searching he had to do. My father made a lot of mistakes at that time, and he had to own up to them. So he went back to the States before we did. My mother and father separated, and it ultimately was for good. And he had to find his way. But my mother was determined to give me the best life, to give her and I partners in crime. We were teammates. We are teammates. That's my partner in crime. I tip my cap to my mother's courage every day, all day. She's a hard-headed woman. She drives me nuts. She drives me nuts, but I love her, and I'll do anything for her because she was so courageous, and she found her own way. She made her own rules just so I could have the life that I have today. She knew she was going to raise me in the United States at some point, but in her mind at that time, it wasn't the right time to come back. So we went from Denmark to Bahrain. Bahrain is an Arab island in the Middle East, and I lived there for 3.5 years. So from 6 months to 6.5, I was in a Danish-speaking country, learned broken Danish, like my diaper's dirty, I'm hungry, mom picked me up, the basics. My mother learned it because she had to survive, she had to communicate, she had to get by. Then I went to Bahrain, which is an Arabic-speaking country, and my mother didn't want to confuse me. She didn't want to put too much on my plate, so to speak. So going from Danish to Arabic, she knew that she was going to raise me in the States, so she put me in a British private school just so I could learn English. So I don't think I learned English until I was about 4.5, 5 years old. And it's crazy because I had this English accent. Mummy, may I have some tea? Hello, hello, mum, hello, mum. And as you can hear, that accent is terrible. But once upon a time, I actually had a legitimate English accent because I went to this school, this British private school. So by living in Denmark and Bahrain for 6 years, in that time, she was curious. She basically felt, we're this far around the world, let's see bits and pieces of the world. So we were in Denmark, we were in Bahrain, we went to Germany, we went to London, Pakistan, the Virgin Islands, we went to Greece, we were in Ghana. And it's such a cool story to tell. I mean, I've told this story a bunch of times, and I hear it and I'm like, wow, I've lived a pretty cool life just in the first 6 years of my life. But I'm like, but then it kind of hits me that I can tell this story, but I really don't know details of places and people. I have to listen to the stories from my mom about the places we went, about the people we met, about the sights that we saw. Thank God my mother was picture happy, and she was clickety-clack, 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 and I get to look at pictures that are proof that we had this life together. I mean, I have pictures of me standing next to the pyramids in Egypt. I have pictures of me riding camels in Bahrain. I have pictures of me in Ghana. Ghana is a part of Africa. I have pictures of me in villages, that's not English, villages. Bear with me. I remember in Ghana, a local village honored us as guests, and they sacrificed a goat. And I was 4. And, I remember them bringing a goat in, bah, 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 tied up by its hooves to a stick. And that was how they ate. That was their food. That was going to be my dinner that night. I didn't know it. I was 4. And they cut the head off the goat in front of me, and they burned it over a fire pit, and it scared the shit out of me. And I was 4. I was like, mommy, why are they killing the dog, or whatever I called it? I probably didn't know what goat was. Mommy. And and they were doing it as a celebration because that was their culture. And my mother says that I wouldn't eat meat for 4 months. She said all I would eat is porridge. Porridge is like an oatmeal. All I would eat was porridge for 4 months because anytime I saw meat, I thought it was the poor animal. And I just felt so bad that they killed this animal. Whether I know it or not, whether I can remember the details, I know that it's a part of who I am. And I'm grateful that I got to feel the world. Maybe, and I got to see it, but maybe I don't remember it. But I know that I felt it, and I know that that's a part of my person. It's why one of my most favorite things to do is to travel, is to just get out and see things that I know nothing about, see new places, meet new people, taste new foods, you know, different languages, different cultures, different philosophies. It's just interesting. I don't have to agree with it all, but I love to appreciate it and see what it is. And the first 6.5 years of my life, that's what that was. That was me and my mom toughing it out, sticking by each other. She had my back and I was along for the ride, and whatever my mom said was right. She was the captain. And I got this experience because my mother was bold enough to chase it down. So after 6.5 years of living overseas, my mom decided it was time. And she wanted to bring me back to the States. And we started out in Boston, Massachusetts, where my mother was originally from. And she was so excited to finally see her family, to introduce me, her son, because they hadn't had a chance to meet me yet. And you know, she'd been on this long journey. She'd gone to the West Coast, she'd gone overseas, she'd gone to all these different countries, and now was a chance to come home. And she got to come home, not with her husband. She took a chance, and there was a lot of good in it, but that flicker went out. So it was just me and mom. By then we became partners in crime, and to this day, me and mom, we are partners in crime. But she wanted to introduce me to the family, her side of the family, and with that came a lot of pride and a lot of joy and a lot of discovery. But then a lot more reality checks, because to be quite honest, Boston, Massachusetts was not the most racially friendly place at that time. This is now 76, 77. Boston at that time was a very divided city racially.